What's up, people? My name is Mr. Jack Falafel, but you guys can call me Jack, and welcome to the decade. So guys, I'm pretty excited for this brand new year, 2020. I'm so keen to get so many more projects done. And to begin with, I'm going to be doing a custom t-shirt. It's just a plain white shirt. It was like $4 from Kmart. I'm going to be doing two pieces, one on the front and one on the back. I'm also going to be testing out some Mont Marte, what is it? Some of these fabric paint pens. I'd give you a better look at the box, but unfortunately I left it on my back table and it did get a little bit rained on, so the box isn't in 100% condition. But you know, these things happen. It's just the way things go on my channel. Sometimes things get wet and fall apart. Anyway, so when I started, I knew that I really wanted to have something to do with 2020, and I really wanted to create like a logo or design that had 2020 in it. The t-shirt's more of a vertical frame, and it was pretty much the first design I came up with in a vertical thing. It's a 2020, made it look like a rocket ship, and the big triangle on top, I even added that in, and I thought I could paint that red to symbolize YouTube. So for the paint, I wanted to try the paint pens, but it's also a large surface on the back. I didn't want to waste them all doing just the background, so I made up my own fabric paint, which is a very easy recipe. It's just some shaving cream, a little bit of PVA glue, and some acrylic paint. Just give that a bit of a stir up, mix it to the right kind of color that you want, and it'll turn into kind of like a puffy consistency. Some people just call it puffy paint, some people call it fabric paint. I like to call it fabric paint because that's what I use it on. I mixed up a lot of the black paint and I went over pretty much the whole background with it, except I did leave a bit of a white blank section in the middle because I didn't want to have to paint over black paint, and yeah, I just thought it'd be easier that way. I then grabbed a black paint pen. I started doing the outline work for the rocket ship, and that was going pretty well. I was pretty happy with how it turned out. It seemed to be coming out in a very like smooth fashion. I wasn't too worried about it. I did go over the lines a couple of times just to make sure that it was thick enough and it did cover all of the fabric. Now I moved on to some of the other colors. I filled in the top triangle, whatever you call that, the nose of the rocket. I filled that in red with a little bit of white in the middle just to represent YouTube, like I already mentioned. And then I grabbed the white pen and I filled in most of the rocket ship with the white. Not sure if there was less in the tube or if I was using more and I was pressing down harder and using more of the paint. I'm not really sure, but I ended up running out of the white pen very quickly. I thought I used a lot more of the black, so I'm not quite sure how that happened. I ended up getting some of the white fabric paint that I made up and filling in the areas again just because I didn't quite think they were white enough. And then I wanted to try out some of the other colors because like I had pretty much the whole rainbow of colors, so I thought I'll try out a few more. I decided to make this cool flame at the bottom of the rocket. I used some yellow in the middle and I went to an orange and then red as the flame went out. I mixed a little bit of the orange and the red going across the flame and tried to make it look a bit more realistic and cool and twirly and just interesting. I actually was so happy with how that turned out. I was surprised at how well the paint pens went over each other too. They mixed a little bit but not too much, and I was, yeah, pleasantly surprised. Once I thought it was dry, I did set it with an iron, and that seemed to work okay. I just grabbed some sheets of paper and laid that down over the top and gave it a quick iron to heat set it because that's what it recommends on the box. But then, now, this is the part in my video where things tend to go wrong, and of course, they kind of did. I ended up getting a little bit of black paint on the front of the shirt. I tried to get it off. I tried to paint over it with white. It didn't really look too good. I tried using just a little bit of bleach to try and get it off, and that still wasn't working. But then because I put a little bit of bleach on the shirt, I had to wash the shirt. So I knew as soon as it came out of the washer it wasn't looking okay, but it was still wet. I didn't put it in the dryer, I just hung it up overnight for it to dry. So next morning, I had another look at the shirt and I was a bit disappointed. A lot more of the paint had come out than I had originally thought. It was mostly the paint pens that had come out too. Thankfully, I guess I went over the flames enough to heat set them properly, or I'm not quite sure what I did different in that area, but thankfully the flames did stay pretty much intact. There was a little bit of fallout of color, but not too much. It still did look very much the same as it did the night before, so I was still very happy with that. Unfortunately, a lot of the red from the nose cone came out, a lot of the black outlines had fallen out, and I did have to go back and touch it up. I didn't want to use the paint pens again, so I just used some of the black fabric paint that I had made up the night before. I went over a lot of the black outlines, I used some white to fill in the white that had fallen out. And I did use the red paint pen to go over the red nose, just because I couldn't quite mix up the right red that I wanted. I was really happy with the red that came out from the pen, so I just retried with the pen. And I left it all to dry and I heat set it with the iron again. I moved on to the front shirt. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I thought about maybe doing some like splotchy looking art texture things, just like a rainbow of colors with the paint pens, but I thought maybe that I should continue with the space theme that I had on the background. So I decided to draw an astronaut. I did do a rough sketch of it first just to have an idea in mind, and then I went ahead and did the background first. I made up some purple fabric paint and some blue fabric paint, as well as the black and the white that I already had. Started working in like a horizontal fashion going across the shirt. No real pattern to it, just kind of messy and blotchy, and getting a lot of like galaxy type colors in there. I did leave it kind of blank in the middle so I could paint over it, but I wasn't too fussed about it. I was trying to fill in the background. I forgot to mention that I did make a cardboard insert to go inside the shirt, just so I didn't have any more paint transfer problems like I did from the back side of the shirt. I then filled in the rough shape of where I want the astronaut to be with white. I did a couple layers of that just to make it easier and make it stand out from the background a bit more. I did think about using the black paint pen to do the outlines, but I thought it came out a bit too thick, so I just used some of my black fabric paint and a small flat brush just to get the outlines going for the astronaut. I started with the head and worked my way down, and then I did another layer of white on the inside because I still could see some of the color coming through. Afterwards, I did do another coat of the black as well and added a few more touch-up lines, a few little extra details around the helmet and the shoulders and his pants and knees and stuff. I had to add a little bit of color around the outside of the guy because it kind of looked like he had this white-ish glow. I wasn't too happy about that. I wanted it to be a fairly solid and straight outline to the background. I added a little bit more black paint, left it to dry, and heat set that with the iron, and I was done. Is there a better way to bring in the decade than to have a space themed 2020 shirt custom made for your own pleasure? That seemed a bit weird. I'm very happy with it. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. If you're happy with this video and the way this has turned out, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new around here. Here's my 2020 Space Galaxy rocket ship takeoff shirt thing. And I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.